Let's see what they have to say.
And you need to know, folks, that they have now filed for a motion to dismiss. But as we get ready to dive into this particular conversation, I need you to know what it is that makes this so much bigger than just a kerfuffle between Smash JT and Mercante. All right, here's what apparently is in the claims. This is out of thatparkplace.com. If you're not yet bookmarked, well, you should be. It says new claims related to YouTube's algorithm and monetization. This is in the second complaint that Alyssa has filed, which Ron Coleman, on behalf of Smash JT, is filing to dismiss utterly, totally, completely. It says a new angle added by Mercante involves allegations regarding YouTube's algorithm. She claims that Smash JT knowingly exploited YouTube's monetization systems, amplifying negative content about her specifically to increase his financial gain. Now, how does she think that? Why does she think that? And for folks out there wondering who is Alyssa Mercante and who are these people? Who is Smash JT? Well, Smash JT has been on the channel before. He is a video game-centric YouTube channel personality.
I have been on this channel before. These guys are all so kind. Like, they're such good people. I don't have a bad thing to say about anyone. And usually I'm pretty good about finding bad things about saying people, but these guys are great.
And Alyssa Mercante is the former editor-in-chief of Kotaku, the video game website. Here's what it says. She argues this commercial motive demonstrates intent to cause harm for personal profit, further supporting her claims of defamation and emotional distress. Now, it looks to me like, and I'm just a lay person giving my opinion, and I'm allowed to have that. It looks to me like, Vash and Lou, that what she's doing is she's saying that because he made YouTube videos about her, and because he was critical of her in YouTube videos, that is somehow taking exploiting YouTube and the monetization thereof, and then that gives her a causation to sue and perhaps to win.
Yeah, and that she deserves all the money I ever made talking about her ever, because that's how the law should work. Because harassment and other reasons. As far as I understand the complaint, that's what it looks like to me. And I don't know how you find lawyers in this world that would agree with that sentiment or push that sentiment, but here we are.
And the problem with that is, what that would say is that you can't have a negative opinion about a public figure on YouTube ever, without it being quote unquote exploitation. We need somebody with an explanation. If only we had Ron Coleman here, but we do.
Oh, snap.
Ron, it's good to have you. Welcome back.
This guy. The man, the myth, the legend.
Thanks, sir.
The boss.
Good afternoon, gents. How you doing?
Having a wonderful day, and it's even better now that you come our way. Ron, you have filed a motion to dismiss all this craziness from the Alyssa Mercante camp, and we were just taking a look at the idea that making YouTube videos where you critique someone, a public figure, maybe someone who even runs a video game website, that doing that's just a horrible, awful thing. Ron, if this thing succeeds from her side, it seems to me it has broader implications for YouTubers out there. We wouldn't be allowed to make negative statements or criticisms or critiques or anything regarding some of the folks out there who are part of the public drama of this world.
Well, what you wouldn't be able to do, Pro, is you wouldn't be able to act as stochastic terrorists.
Oh, gosh. Is that what you've been up to now, Ron? Is that what you're doing these days?
No, it's what you guys are doing. And you're trying to defend it. Stochastic terrorism, is a very dangerous form of free speech because it makes people sometimes agree with you and also say things that hurt feels.
Oh, no, that can't be allowed. That's not allowed, Ron. Ron, you have filed a motion to dismiss on the behalf of Smash JT. Tell us what's going on in the lawsuit. Bring us up to date. And then also, Ron, well, I'll hold the next question, but I've got a question that I think is of high interest to the audience out there. Go ahead.
Well, we haven't filed this motion. The way things work in the Eastern District of New York, they have a weird procedure called the bundling rule. And in the bundling rule is the judges say don't file a motion until each side has finished all their papers concerning the motion. In other words, so as a rule, when I want a court to do something, that's called a motion. I get to make my motion. The other side gets to oppose my motion. They file what's called an opposition. And then I get last licks. I get a reply, which because since I'm the one with the burden of getting the court to do something it wasn't already going to do, I get a last shot at pushing it up the hill. So the way it works now is we merely serve, in this case, it's a motion to dismiss. So we as the defendant serve the plaintiff with the motion to dismiss. And they now know what we will be filing and they can prepare their opposition to it. Then when we file our, rather when we prepare, they will send us their opposition. We will prepare our reply and file the whole thing all at once. Now, when we did this the first time in respect to our motion to dismiss the original complaint, we did not release the first motion because everyone gets pretty much a free bite at the apple. And we knew that our initial motion would result in an amended complaint, which is what it did.
And what he's referencing there, I had a call with Ron about this, where they knew what we were going to do, because I think that I said something about that on a video or something, and they jumped on top of it and contacted Ron, Alyssa's lawyers, and were like, hey, we understand you're going to request to file for a motion to dismiss. Can we just skip this part of the process and just go right to the assuming that that's in there, this, that, the other thing? And Ron's like, do you want to skip this because it's just kind of a dance right now? It's just going to cost extra money, even though it's unnecessary. I'm like, nope, I want to do this by the book. And if this is what the next step is, we're going to do the next step. We're not going to try to dance quicker to make this move along faster for them. We're going to step by step go as slow as possible to make sure we cover everything we need to, because I look at this as extremely important to make sure we cover our bases, dot our I's, cross our T's, and don't rush it along. And that almost struck me like kind of a little bit strange that Alyssa and her lawyers were trying to speed this along. I'm like, no. We're gonna, and Ron agreed with me. Ron's like, okay, he goes, that's what I was going to suggest to you too. But it just, he said, I wanted to ask you as your lawyer first, what you want to do. And I was like, okay. I'm like, I'm glad that we're in lockstep with this.
We subsequently released it because JT thought it would be fun for his audience. This time, because the motion that we have served on the plaintiff is definitely going to be filed, there didn't seem to be any reason to delay in releasing it, even though it has not yet been filed. But we thought that JT was entitled to talk about it and get people's opinions about it. And I know that there has been plenty of opinion shared from the other side. The people who are renowned legal experts have weighed in, and I say that with my tongue firmly.
No sarcasm, no facetiousness involved, right, Ron?
But listen, everybody has an opinion. Everyone's entitled to an opinion. Just only some people get paid for opinions.
Now, let me give you
Ron, as a ghost myself, I was talking with Justice Marshall the other day about this, and he had an opinion too, but I'm not allowed to share it. So
I'm surprised Justice Marshall's club isn't restricted, Lou. I'm glad to hear that.
So, Ron, I don't think you can see this, but we've got up right now the article on the story here, talking about some of the, I guess, stretches of imagination or law that are happening. And I just want you to explain this. And for folks out there who are wondering, what relevance does this have to, the things I'm interested in? It seems to me, Ron, that if Mercante were to be successful here, she would likely, maybe, perhaps, speculation on Pro's part, maybe try this with other YouTube channels that have been critical of her in the past and her actions. So I think it is highly relevant.
Well, she's already alluded to planning on doing that. So, yes.
I think this is I think this is a test case for whether or not this can succeed.
Mhm.
But to give you some idea of just how strange some of this is, out of that part, please, it says, in an apparent effort to shore up jurisdictional weakness, Mercante has amended her complaint to include claims that Smash JT operates a website hosted by Wix, and that Wix is a platform that happens to have some offices in New York, which therefore creates a sufficient contact with the state to justify the venue being in the Eastern District of New York.
Yeah.
Ron, is this how out there we are now in terms of some of the gymnastics being done?
Well, there were a number of things that were added to the jurisdictional allegations. Wix was actually in the first complaint, and it is indeed a very, very big stretch. Courts have routinely said the fact that your website is hosted by or designed by, or certainly usable in designed by or hosted by a company that's in New York, or if the website can be used in New York, give New York jurisdiction. They even say under the terms of use for Wix, if you do a Wix website, and Wix is pretty much a as retail of a website builder as you can get. You agree to jurisdiction in New York. Well, that is true, that for purposes of any conflict between JT and Wix, he would have to litigate in New York, but that doesn't help.
We've had an audio issue with Ron for a moment. Folks, we'll get the audio working in just a moment. But Ron is going on, and Vash, maybe you can interpret what he's saying right now. It's very intelligent.
It's very intelligent indeed. I'd be remiss to try to interpret everything.
He's getting right to a really good
Ron's
point
mouth
there
right
too.
now. Ooh.
Damn it.
I will say that we've never had this problem where Ron literally cannot tell, because he's looking into his phone right now. He can't see Vash. He can't see me. He can't see the website. So Ron has no idea that he can't hear us, but he's finding out right now because look at the face. The face says, "I'm in trouble now." So what we're going to do, we're going to pull Ron out, and we're going to bring him back in and see if that fixes it. Ron, can you hear us now? Nope, you're not back. Sorry, Ron. Okay, well, folks, we'll get Ron back in just a few. Ron, call back in, and we'll try it. Nope. Vash, if you'll reach out to Ron and let him know, or I will. Vash, your thoughts on the idea that if Alyssa Mercante wins this.
That sucks. He's getting right to like a really good point. Like the building all the way up to that, it's cut.
Yes, it could open the door to the opportunity for her to, and others, not just her, to go after YouTubers, websites, anybody who says a negative thing about, a person in the public domain who's up to maybe some sketchy stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean this would have huge transformative effects on content output, and I would guess even not only output affecting new media, but also
This case would legit like shake social media to the core if it went her way. I don't think people realize like how big of a deal this is if she wins. Assuming she loses, which I think a lot of people are feeling quite confident and comfortable in that, then nothing changes and no big deal. But if for whatever reason this judge sees it her way, it would get, I'm not even exaggerating when I say bigwigs at Google, Elon Musk, like I wouldn't be surprised if Donald Trump, like this would get a lot of eyeballs. People would be like, wait, what just happened over there? This would change the entire landscape of social media if this actually did get seen her way. This is insanity. I'm not even like being hyperbolic when I say that. It literally is that insane. And nobody has been able to read. Professional lawyers outside of Ron Coleman have read through all this information and come back to me with the same response that I got out of it, which is, yeah, she's got nothing. Like there's nothing here. There's absolutely nothing here. But you never know. You never know what a court's going to decide.
Also, legacy media as well.
True.
Which, you know, I mean, they're
Even if I win, it still sets precedence, which I would argue probably they want to try to plead this out for me to just give up or have some sort of give them some sort of leeway to move forward with something. It's like, nope, you mess with the wrong guy if that's what you think I'm doing with this.
there have been attempts made, I think, as Ron pointed out right there, there have been attempts made to, I believe it was an original New York Times case in which you know, you had journalistic input when it pertained to like a public figure and all of that, and how and you know, how you can criticize or input or comment on a public figure and so forth. And you know, there have been attempts to change that in the past.
I would have loved to join them today. I don't think I would have been able to. I was so busy with real life today. I'm like, I didn't even know this happened. That's how busy I was.
And all that, but you know, there have been, I think, lawsuits brought like this in the past.
JJJ3, how long could this go? Well, the terms of the calendar have been scheduled out, and I believe there needs to be a decision by the court. I think it's sometime around mid-July on if this is going to proceed or if it's going to get tossed or what they're going to decide to do with it. So theoretically, assuming it gets tossed or stopped, I think mid-July is as long as it's going to go. If it does proceed, it could go on for years. And I'm not even exaggerating.
And we haven't seen much success out of those lawsuits. I think the one that comes to mind, at least for me, is when Aquila, I believe, attempted to sue Sargon of Akkad back in the day, and that was over kind of a copyright issue. But at the heart of it, it was okay. I don't like you know, Sargon of Akkad criticizing you know, my thoughts, my view, but
Sure.
I mean, I'm with you, by the way, Deku Leader. No one wants this tossed out more than me. I just want to get on with my life and get back to what I'm doing. She wants to drag this shit out. She wants to be the victim. She wants to say, "Oh, he's such a bad guy." No one cares about her, and she wants people to. That's why she wants this to drag on.
views, my inputs, and all that. And that case was just,
So let's
I believe.
It looks like we've got Ron back on the line. We're going to see if we can get him. He's adjusting his camera right now, folks. So we'll see if we can get Ron. And let's see. We'll bring him on. Ron, are you working on your camera? Are you good to go? You don't have to be on camera with us if you can hear us.
Hello? Hello?
Hello, Ron. Can you hear us?
There he is.
Oh, they're on.
All right, Ron, we're going to
By
talk
the
to
way,
you.
while you were gone, Ron, Justice Brandeis sends his regards.
Uh-oh.
Nope.
That would have got a laugh normally out of Ron. Oh, we did. Okay, good. We've got Ron. Hey,
Yeah,
okay, so Ron, one of the questions we've got for you, and in case we have audio issues, I'm going to give you something that's broad, and then as you go with your answer, just give us your concluding thoughts as well. And that way we're okay no matter what happens.
Good point, Cry Werewolf. Publicity for her upcoming book. Either way, by the way, win or lose. And she knows that.
Ron, this seems to me to be a battle between the legacy media and the new media, or at least the access media and the new media. Mercante is alleging that she basically lost her job at Kotaku because she faced criticisms from YouTube channels like Smash JT. Now, she's chosen Smash JT as the person to go after. But this seems to me to be growing pains of a new media that really is sort of taking over. And that's why I'm so interested in this case is if Smash JT and you win this convincingly, quickly, strongly, it might be a reason for these legacy and access media types to lay off and not keep trying this tactic. What say you?
Frankly, there's nothing particularly new about this case. This case is just another online defamation case. They tried to throw in the stochastic terrorism and the conspiracy to harass sort of thing. But what, at the end of the day, besides the jurisdictional problems, which are, as I said, regarding they want to fight this in New York. We can fight it in New York. I don't think they really have jurisdiction in New York, but if the court wants to go ahead and rule on the issues, then we're going to win here every bit as much as we would in California. I believe. I don't think there's anything, frankly, this is the kind of online defamation lawsuits that have been losing for 20 years. So I do agree with you. I mean, if what you're saying is, Ron, if this gets past the motion to dismiss stage, don't we have a problem, Houston? Yeah, we would have a problem, Houston, because there's no defamation here. This is a case of a woman who described herself in very base and callous terms. And basically everything she said about herself was taken at face value by my client, who was quite reasonable in doing so. There's nothing that suggested that she didn't mean what she said. And there's nothing suggested that what she said isn't true. It doesn't seem to be true.
More importantly.
So
now, Ron, I don't know that I'm going to get an answer out of you on this. So just know that I'm asking a question that I don't think you're going to go with me on, but I'm going to ask it for the folks out there. If this is dismissed, are you and Smash JT going to take additional actions back in the reverse?
Well, we don't have to. The motion to dismiss includes a request for sanctions under New York. That is already in play, and the courts have held that although the New York anti-SLAPP law does provide a cause of action for bringing a meritless defamation claim in order to chill public speech, it is not necessary to bring it as a separate action. It can be merely part of the dismissal motion. And there is a very strong trend under the New York cases holding that if a defamation claim is dismissed at the pleading stage, which is, in other words, as a motion to dismiss for failure to state a claim for which relief may be granted, then that constitutes the sort of defamation claim that the anti-SLAPP law was meant to prevent from being filed, and that attorney's fees shall be awarded.
And so you all would be satisfied then, if I'm hearing this correctly, with sanctions or anti-SLAPP fines placed on the plaintiffs, and you would not countersue? Is that what I'm hearing? Or is that on the table?
That is the countersuit.
Gotcha.
I mean, if you're saying would we countersue for something beyond the bringing of a meritless lawsuit and the incurring of attorney's fees and aggravation? There are no plans to do that now, but we might have to, we would have to look at the state of play in the event that we
as things evolve on the ground. All right. Well, Ron,
which is a very fair response, because I would never say no to anything, but at the same time, it's impossible to know what your next move is going to be until you know where you're at with what the court is telling you. So, I mean, if the court comes back and it's like, yeah, no, she owes you everything, plus this was such a ridiculous case and she caused such trauma to your life that we're also gonna make her owe even more money to you, and this, that, yeah, like, that's unexpected. I don't even know if they could do that, but you never know where you're gonna be at. So it's impossible to say, oh, if we win or we lose, this is what's, you don't know until the court does what they do. So
thank you for taking time to hop in here with us. It's been a great pleasure getting an update from you with the Alyssa Mercante Smash JT situation. And folks, we are definitely rooting for Ron, and we've got a little selfish reason for that. Ron represents us from time to time, so we like to see him win.
I like to win.
All right, Ron, you take care, sir. We'll see you real soon. And thanks, drive safe out there.
Hey,
10 and 2.
Stop. I pulled over. Okay, see you later.
All right, folks, we are getting ready to go to New Rock.
That was great. Shout out to WDW Pro, that Park Place. These guys are great. And that was a banger. I didn't even know Ron was on today. So damn. I did get another bill from Ron, which I will update you guys on as soon as I have time to review the bill. But suffice it to say, we are now going into the second part of the GoFundMe money. And this is where it starts to get a little bit hairy, because now we're going to get into the money that I wasn't expecting to need for this case. And so far, we are good, but I'm going to keep you guys posted as we go with this because yikes. If it does get slapped down, that is going to be tens upon tens of thousands of dollars, potentially getting towards the hundreds thousands of dollars to pay back, which is a lot of money. So unless she has someone backing her and has infinite money, that should be something that concerns her proceeding with this, especially after hearing what Ron just said. Traditionally, these cases are slapped down. It's not something far-fetched to say that either. So yeah, it would be something. Now, if it does get slapped down and the money gets returned, that would be cause for celebration. But at the same time, I don't know how that works. I would need to talk with Ron about how money even gets returned and stuff like that. But I haven't even thought that far ahead because I never even like to think like that. So exactly. Good point, Sergeant Sapient. If Alyssa had an infinite money glitch, she wouldn't be suing you. Damn. But anyways, that was crazy. Shout out to you guys. Thank you for the heads up on that. I had no idea that was even a thing, but damn, it was.